everyone, back again. This time we are, just in case the videos ever get split, but this is what we will be making. I'm showing you how to make. I've shown you in the previous one how to actually make the folder, and in this one I'm going to be showing you how to do the advent and how to do the actual calendar card, the calendar piece at the back. So this is what I've used, and this is why it was sort of a bit of a rush really, because after the first, obviously these are null and void. But what I have done is, because some of them will be after the first, I've actually just tucked a bag of toppers or stamped pieces into the card there where that was. So you don't have to have the advent. You can still make the triple fold, so they would have some pieces and things to use before Christmas if they wanted to. So that's an alternative to this. This is the die that I've used. It's an advent die from Cocorosa. There's a few places you can get Cocorosa. If you just put that in any of the search engines, it will come up. I think it's got 2 or 3 different names, but you'll soon find them. Now, what I did do, as pointed out by a lady called Louise, I saw her do, and she made her template up by die cutting this. Got that wrong. Yeah, she die cut that and then cut all the doors off. So it actually gave her a template to work on. Got that upside down. Yes, I've got it upside down. There you go. So, and this is the template that she was working on. And then I put it on the third piece of card measurements, which I'll give you in a moment. It's slightly, ever so slightly smaller, but that's how it's meant to be. And this is where I actually purchased just some Christmas stickers. They're really cheap off of Amazon, but I'm sure you can buy them in lots of places. If you don't have them, I've got some nail art stickers that you could use. Anything like that. You could do die cuts, but they are so small, and it's far easier than to worry about using glue and everything to just use stickers. So I would recommend that that's what you do. Now, the measurements are the mirror backing, because it's just mirror backing on this one. It's 4.5 by 5 3/4. The white card, which is this one you're going to put the stickers on, is 4 1/4 by 5.5. And the advent picture, that one, the exact measurements are 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. Now, the reason I left a tiny little gap around it is because that's what you will see. And you've still got that little tiny white border going around, which will show against your mirror card. So, really simple. This is how cards, advent cards, would have been made in years gone by. They just had little pictures of flowers or things like that at the behind the doors. So I just thought it would be nice to go back and just, you know, use the same principle as what they used in years gone by. This is the one that the card that I actually put this die on to give me this, obviously with the doors. So it needs to be bigger than that. Any Christmassy picture like that, and it will die cut all those doors. When you're actually putting it together, I glued all around the outside. I used wet glue because you're putting just card on card. And I put a tiny little line all around the outside. And then just in between the doors. You just need to make sure you don't get any where the doors will close. So, but that will stop the door piece from lifting up. So that's how you would do that, and then that all tucks inside that frontispiece piece. So that's the measurements. If you haven't screenshot them, now's your time to do that. So that's the second part. And the final part, which is probably the trickiest, you need a backing piece of 4x6 card. That's this piece. The mirror card, which is 3 3/4 by 5 3/4, which is this piece. And then the pattern, which is this one, 3 1/2, or narrower if you wanted to, because there's plenty of scope, times 5 1/2. You could use a topper. It hasn't got to be a printout like this, you know, this size, but that's just a good guideline for you to base all on that. There's so much out there. I'll actually put a link to the group where I get all these images from. They're from Kirsty's, somebody called Kirsty's on YouTube, and she doesn't charge you anything to download her commercial images. She does request occasionally, and I do every time I use any of her things, that you just buy her a coffee, and it just keeps her paying whatever she has to pay to get the images before she puts them all together, and I suppose AIs them. I'm not sure, but I would have thought so. So I usually, if I'm going to use anything of hers, I just buy her a coffee, and it's a small price to pay. So that's that one. Let me just find this one again. Okay. Now these ones, I bought these from Amazon. They're very reasonable. I wouldn't buy the cheapest ones that you can get because the pages tend to come off and the print isn't very good. Buy the sort of middle of the road ones. You can tell whether the image, the print is any good just by looking at them. So just zoom in, have a look, get the middle of the road prices, and you can't go wrong. Now on that you need, the backing is 3 1/4 by 2 1/4. Oops. The mirror card is 3 by 2. And obviously your calendar. Now what I did do, and when I joined it to the top, I used the same principle. I put the calendar on here. Now the ribbon that you're going to need, you need 2 small pieces. Before you put the final white on, just put your 2 little pieces up like that. There you go. And then put your gloss on the top. So you get something like that. And then your white comes on the top, sealing it in. What I did do on here, I used some red liner tape at the bottom, which is where those 2 will attach, and one at the top where you're going to use a little tiny loop like that across the top. It gives you something to anchor it to before you put your white card on. And then your white card will go like that, and it will hold it in place. When you've done that, I then turned it over, peeled that off, put that on there, just stuck these to that, and then I used wet glue on that because it's card on card. And then I put the white card on after you've peeled that off and put the little loop at the top. So this will sit in there like that with your little loop on the top, and it can be kept on a kitchen door or any type cabinet or something like that you've got, or just on a wall somewhere, a cork board, anywhere like that. And you can use it. Again, it's got a little bit of holly on there, but nothing, doesn't shout out Christmas during the year. So that's your measurements. If you want to screenshot those, that's the 2 measurements. You need the calendars and you need some ribbon. So that's those measurements. So I'm just going to give you a quick rundown on this again. That's the calendar one that goes in there. The advent calendar. This is next year's calendar. I actually looped them back to tuck inside. You don't want the kink forward, whereas going back it doesn't matter. And there's the Christmas card there. If you don't want the advent one, then you can by all means just put die cuts or stamping bits or anything like that in there. So that's that one. This one is silver, but it's personalized for somebody, so that's why it is silver and not gold that I've used all the others. But it's the same 3 pieces. It's going off now, so I don't have to worry about the advents. This one is just different pictures, so that's that one. This one again, just different pictures, and that one, and finally this one. You don't have to stick to the gold. I quite like the gold with these papers from Christie's group, so I will put a link to that. The Coco Rosa dies, if I can find a link I'll put one to it, but I'll definitely do this one because that's where you'll want to get your papers from, and because it's free, it's worth paying a coffee each time you download something. So that's it for today. Hope the 2 videos stay together and don't get parted. I will do a part 1 and a part 2. So that's it now. I've got a really nice fold coming next week. It's something that you can make for somebody for Christmas, so it's sort of a gift, but you'll see what I mean when it comes out. So early next week that will be out. So that's all for now. Thanks for everybody that's stuck by me, and for any newcomers, I'll catch you next week. Bye bye.